As good of a player as he is, are the voters really going to care? Like truly, let's answer the question, what is stopping Giannis from winning the MVP? In my last video, I talked about the possibility of Joel Embiid winning the MVP. However, in the video multiple times, I did say that he was not my actual pick or the person who I thought should actually win the award. And it seems like everyone that has been interacting with my videos have came to the same conclusion on who should actually win the award, and that player would be Giannis Antetokounmpo. This season, I feel like Giannis for a majority of the year has made an MVP case that not a whole lot of people were talking about, but I feel like with it being MVP March, which is definitely a term I'm gonna keep using, we gotta discuss this MVP case because I think there's a real possibility that Giannis actually wins it. I mean, he's been my favorite the entire year. Now, just like my last video, I answered two questions. One, could he win the award? And two, should he win it? And I want to start with the question, can he actually win the award? This season, it seems like we've been questioning the criteria of the award and who's actually allowed to win it. I mean, there was also a period of time where race somehow got involved in this, which I'm not even going to go over again. But regardless of that, does Giannis Antetokounmpo actually meet the criteria? Now, on this channel, we've basically came up with the criteria that we've been sticking to for the longest of time. For one, you need to be on a top 3 seed in your respected conference. You need to have an MVP-esque performance. You need to be leading in some statistical category or have some statistics that are very impressive. And one that I've kind of recently added, you need to not be a liability on one side of the ball. For example, Joel Embiid, the guy we talked about last time, he is not only a great player on offense as he is the leading scorer in the NBA, but not to mention he's a great player on the defensive side, and it doesn't really take stats for me to prove that. Well, maybe if you're Zach Lowe, it might.
So I have not updated my spreadsheet.
Now, just like Joel Embiid, Giannis is obviously not a liability on defense or offense. Giannis is a player that can take over the game, he can be the leading scorer, but he can also do other things on the offensive side that doesn't get talked about. Being able to get offensive rebounds and also being somewhat of a playmaker as he's averaging about 5 assists per game. Also, Giannis isn't a terrible mid-range jump shooter, I'm just saying. But okay, we already knew he wasn't a liability on offense, but what about defense? Hell no, are you kidding me? This man should be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. That's how good of a defender he is. Unfortunately, Jaren Jackson Jr. is getting most of the coverage when it comes to the Defensive Player of the Year, but I think Brook Lopez might win it. I'm not really sure at this point, but god damn it, I don't know why the fuck Giannis is not being talked about to win Defensive Player of the Year. But anyways, unlike a certain MVP candidate, he's not a liability on any side of the ball. And as far as an MVP-esque performance, well, pick your poison. Do you want a 54-19 game in a win versus the Clippers, where Giannis in that game would shoot about 54% from the field, but maybe that's not good enough compared to his 50-13 game where he shot 77% from the field. Oh, and by the way, he did this within the same week. What's crazy is that's not even his most high-scoring game this season. There was a game versus Washington where he had 55 points. So I'm not really sure which performance you want to go with, but he's had a couple of them. And the season's not even over at this point. This next thing is pretty simple, but is he a top 3 seed in his respected conference? Well, I mean, he is on the best team in basketball, so I would think so. And as far as stats go, well, in the Joel Embiid video, I did say that I was going to give the slight edge to Giannis, just because he's averaging 31, 12, and 6 damn near. Also, he's doing it on great efficiency. Okay, so we've covered the basis of could Giannis win the award, and this is an obvious answer. Well, yeah, every box that there is that even others could make, he's definitely crossed that off. But now we have the most interesting question of the day, should he win it? Now, I've said this a million times, and I'm gonna say this for the millionth and one time. Yes, I think he should win the award, but I want to give more context, because the amount of shit that I'm just like thinking about in my head that I'm just starting to slowly process on why he should win the award is insane. Now, obviously, I've talked about a lot of things already, so I'm not going to cover those things once again, but there is something that I do want to preference, and it's the fact that Giannis has played without Chris Middleton for a big part of the year. In fact, you could still argue that Chris Middleton is not fully recovered to the player we know him as. He's slowly getting there, but I just don't think he's quite there yet, which is okay. He had a really big injury, and obviously it's going to take some time to come back. But Giannis, without Chris Middleton for a majority of the year, and other players that have been injured, he's done everything he can, and that's why the Bucks are the best team in basketball. Also, the jump that Giannis has made from season to season is just something that we don't normally see from superstar players. Every single season, I feel like I keep repeating the phrase, oh, this is Giannis's best year, and this season has been Giannis's best year. Whether it's just off basic stats or on the offensive side or the defensive side, Giannis has improved in every single way. But unfortunately, I don't think the voters are moved by this. It seems like for a majority of the season, the MVP race has gone as follows. follows: Nikola Jokic at 1, which hasn't really surprised anyone. Joel Embiid at number 2, again, doesn't surprise anyone, but Giannis is at 3. And it feels like consistently Giannis has been the third option to win the MVP this entire year. Now granted, the 1 and 2 spot have basically flipped, but I don't know why Nikola Jokic is still 2. Out of the 3 candidates that have been in this conversation, it seems like Giannis and Joel Embiid are the only 2 actually playing well as of right now, and they've been doing way better than Jokic has. I think Jokic is a good player, but it's starting to seem like the cracks are starting to form as far as Jokic winning the MVP. In fact, I'd argue this isn't just an MVP conversation, it's about Jokic as a player, but again, I will talk about this in the future. Okay, so we've established the ground on why Giannis should win the award. Whether it's my flawless criteria or the fact that he's been able to play this entire season without Chris Middleton for a majority of it and still dominate, if I'm being real, I haven't even talked about the fact that Jrue Holiday has been missing, Joe Ingles has been missing, Bobby Portis has been missing. See, in the NBA, when players have an impact on their team go down, obviously their record might fall, or as a team, they're just not going to play as well. I mean, there is a reason why the Phoenix Suns at one point were the 10th seed in the Western Conference. Now, of course, that's out of context for a majority of the reasons, but the point is, Phoenix was struggling because they didn't have their star players. But now, well, they're predicted to make it out the West and possibly win the NBA Finals. So I don't think I need to say this, but injuries usually play a big factor on most teams. And the key word is usually. The Bucks have really never had a bad part of the season that I can remember. Again, most contenders like the Suns, they had a bad run. The Celtics, the Nuggets are currently on one right now. But do y'all really remember a time when the Bucks were actually struggling due to injuries or just at all? Mind you, this is the same team that went on a 16-game win streak. So to answer your question, no, I really don't think there's been a bad part of this team throughout the whole season. Now, as far as Giannis's whole case, the only problem I can see is the amount of games that he's missed. Obviously, Giannis has dealt with some injuries throughout the year, which again has not affected the Bucks, but so has Joel Embiid. However, Embiid is currently the favorite to win it, and currently he's played 56 games. Giannis has played 55. The only reason why he's played one less game is because the Sixers played last night, and the Bucks are on schedule to play tomorrow versus the Toronto Raptors, which I think is very interesting because I saw someone trying to make a point about this that was ridiculous to me. No MVP the last 40 years has missed more than 11 games. Giannis has missed 15, Embiid has missed 13, Jokic has missed 8. A vote for Embiid/Giannis has no integrity. Bro, I swear to my neighbors are going to hate me if I actually say what I want to say. It's like, who the fuck do you think I am? First of all, the gap between Jokic and Embiid is so close, like it's 5 games, it's not that big of a deal. Not to mention Giannis is right behind Embiid with like a 2-game difference. Also, no integrity. You guys want to know who has no integrity? The fat ass who can't play defense. And I get it, it's not Jokic's fault that he can't move like that, but I'm sorry, we're not gonna pretend like Giannis and Embiid should not win the award because they've missed a couple more games. Also, I'm gonna just say this, not everyone should have fucking Twitter. Also, the same guy posted $100 to the person who gives me the strongest argument as to why someone other than Nikola Jokic deserves the MVP. Please, any and all arguments are welcome. Now, the toxic thing for me to do is tell you to go to his Twitter and spam the link to this video to that tweet, but I'm not toxic, right? Anyways, all jokes aside, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like on this and subscribe to the channel, and as always, we are going to keep pushing this Giannis propaganda till the day I die.
I'm the kid, Jason kidding, you kidding me? Yes, fuck that bitch till the day I die. 220 on the dash, shake a bloody red eye. I got the pay coming in, finna give me out. Tryna link, I ain't really got no time. Give a fuck about a hater, y'all can suck me dry. And your bitch can too, yeah, I know she gon' ride.